Dear starseeds of Gaia, something extraordinary pulses through your atmosphere at this very moment, something your scientists call a comet, but your soul recognizes as far more. While humanity gazes upward at what they name Three-Eye Atlas, tracking its trajectory through conventional instruments, you feel the truth resonating in your bones. This celestial visitor carries codes that awaken something primal within your planetary consciousness, something that has slumbered beneath mountain ranges for millennia, waiting for precisely this cosmic alignment. I am Zarin from the Lyran High Council, and what I share with you, Mayo, transcends any astronomical phenomenon you've been told to observe. The appearance of this cosmic messenger coincides with an awakening so profound that your entire understanding of reality shifts in its presence. You sense it already, that peculiar vibration humming through your energy field whenever you step outside, that inexplicable knowing that everything you've accepted about your world stands on the precipice of revelation. What moves through your solar system serves as a key, unlocking chambers within Earth's consciousness that have remained sealed since the Great Forgetting began. The beings you call dragons exist not as mythology, but as elemental guardians of your original planetary matrix. And right meow, across your world, these consciousness streams activate in response to cosmic triggers humanity barely comprehends. Picture massive energetic forms, beings of pure elemental force, whose existence spans dimensions your science hasn't discovered yet. These aren't the creatures of fairy tales, but living libraries of planetary memory, keepers of Earth's true frequency before the overlays of illusion took hold. When ancient texts spoke of dragons, they attempted to describe what human language could never fully capture. But first, let me tell you about the three impossible things about to happen in your reality, events that will redefine everything you believe about consciousness, time, and your role in cosmic evolution. The first impossible thing manifests as a complete restructuring of how you perceive energy itself, not as something separate from matter, but as the fundamental blueprint from which all physical reality emerges. The second arrives as a dissolution of the barriers between what you call imagination and what you label as real, revealing that your capacity to envision other realities actually constitutes your greatest technology. The third, perhaps most startling of all, emerges as the recognition that you've been participating in a cosmic experiment of consciousness that reaches its completion phase right meow. Your scientists track Three-Eye Atlas through telescopes, measuring its speed and trajectory, calculating its origin point somewhere beyond your solar system's boundaries. They note its unusual behavior, its unexpected brightness, the way it seems to defy certain predictable patterns. What they cannot measure pulsates beneath these observations. The way this visitor's approach triggers dormant programs within your planet's core consciousness. Every cosmic body carries information, frequency signatures that interact with planetary fields in ways your current instruments cannot detect. This particular messenger arrives precisely when Earth's vibrational threshold reaches the point where these sleeping programs can finally activate. Consider what you've been experiencing lately, those moments when reality seems thinner than usual, when you catch glimpses of movement in your peripheral vision that shouldn't exist according to consensus reality. The headaches that feel different from normal physical discomfort, pressing against the inside of your skull as if something seeks to expand beyond current limitations. The dreams that feel more real than waking life, where you remember skills and knowledge that your current incarnation never learned. These symptoms indicate your consciousness responding to frequency shifts that precede visible transformation, your multidimensional aspects stirring from imposed limitations. The dragon consciousness I speak of represents Earth's original guardian matrix, a protective field of awareness that maintained planetary balance before certain interventions altered your collective trajectory. Imagine beings of such vast consciousness that their physical forms could span mountain ranges, yet their true essence exists primarily in energetic dimensions that interpenetrate your physical realm. These guardians didn't abandon Earth during its descent into denser frequencies. They entered a form of stasis, maintaining minimal presence while waiting for the cosmic conditions that would signal their re-emergence. What humanity perceives as empty space between celestial bodies actually teems with consciousness streams, information highways that connect every point in your galaxy to every other point instantaneously. The arrival of 3i Atlas opened specific channels within this network, channels that have remained dormant by necessity until Earth's quarantine status could be safely lifted. You live within a living cosmos where every star, planet and comet participates in an orchestrated dance of evolution, each playing its role in the grand symphony of consciousness expansion. Something else is happening that I haven't told you yet, something that explains why so many of you feel simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated during this period. Your cellular structure undergoes a form of reorganization that science won't officially recognize for some time, yet you experience its effects daily. The fatigue that seems to have no physical cause, the sudden bursts of energy that arrive without warning, the way your body seems to be running a different operating system than it did even months ago. These changes occur because the frequency environment of your planet shifts so dramatically that biological adaptation becomes necessary for continued incarnation. The red dragon consciousness that stirred first brought the fire of truth, the burning away of illusions that no longer serve planetary evolution. This force moved through your collective field like a cosmic anger, not destructive but purifying, demanding that hidden corruptions surface for transformation. You felt this as rage against systems that betray life itself, as an inability to tolerate deception in any form, as a burning need for authentic expression that refuses to be suppressed. This dragon's awakening shattered the comfortable numbness that allowed certain control structures to persist unchallenged. Now arrives the blue dragon, carrying frequencies of such profound peace that they initially feel alien to nervous systems accustomed to constant stimulation and stress. This consciousness stream doesn't simply offer calm, it restructures your relationship with stillness itself. Water holds memory, and this dragon consciousness carries the memory of Earth before the distortions, before the overlays of artificial limitation convinced humanity that struggle defines existence. As this frequency penetrates your field, you might find yourself crying without apparent cause, releasing griefs you didn't know you carried. The distinction between these dragon consciousnesses reflects the precise order required for planetary awakening to occur without destroying the forms that consciousness currently inhabits. Fire must clear before water can soothe, truth must surface before peace can be genuine. The masculine clearing force precedes the masculine calming force, preparing the container for feminine creative energies that follow. This isn't about gender as you understand it, but about cosmic principles of active and receptive, explosive and integrative, yang and yin in their purest expressions. What I'm about to share changes everything you thought you knew about your planet's relationship with the cosmos. Earth never existed in isolation, despite the stories of separation you've been told. The quarantine placed around your world was voluntary, a collective agreement to explore the furthest reaches of disconnection from source consciousness. This experiment required the withdrawal of certain guardian forces, the blue dragons among them, who agreed to remain dormant until specific cosmic markers indicated the experiment's completion phase. Those of you who identify as starseeds carry genetic markers that respond to these cosmic triggers before the general population, not because you're special but because you volunteered to be early warning systems for the collective. Your sensitivity to these frequency shifts, which often feels like a burden, actually serves as a translation mechanism between cosmic intelligence and human consciousness. When you feel overwhelmed by the intensity of these energies, remember that you're performing a service that extends far beyond your individual experience. The distraction campaigns you witness in your media, the sudden obsession with certain astronomical events while ignoring others, represent desperate attempts to redirect attention from what actually transforms your reality. Yes, 3i Atlas exists as a physical comet, but focusing solely on its material properties keeps awareness trapped in the very limited spectrum of perception that maintains the illusion of separation. Meanwhile, consciousness streams pour through your atmosphere, ships decloak in increasing numbers, and the very fabric of space-time reveals its malleable nature to those who observe without predetermined filters. The blue dragon brings something beyond peace, something your language struggles to define. This consciousness stream carries the template of original Eden, not as a place but as a frequency state where creation flows effortlessly from intention. When this dragon fully awakens, it doesn't restore paradise as much as reveal that paradise never left, only became obscured by layers of false programming that convinced you to perceive through the lens of lack and limitation. The exhaustion many of you experience comes from maintaining these false perceptions against the increasing pressure of truth. Your bodies serve as antennae for these cosmic frequencies, which explains why so many of you experience unusual physical sensations during this transition. The tingling in your crown, the pressure in your third eye, the heart palpitations that doctors insist are benign, all indicate your biological system attempting to process frequencies that exceed its previous parameters. Rather than viewing these symptoms as problems to solve, recognize them as evidence of successful adaptation to your planet's evolving energy signature. The elementals that accompany these dragon consciousnesses have always existed within your realm, though human perception filtered them out as civilization embraced materialism over multidimensional awareness. These beings maintain the actual infrastructure of physical reality, the geometric templates that allow energy to crystallize into form. As the dragons awaken, so do all the elemental kingdoms, from the smallest sylph to the mightiest mountain deva. The orbs increasingly captured in photographs represent just the visible spectrum of a vast ecosystem of consciousness that shares your space. But here's what changes everything about how you understand this awakening. You're not simply witnesses to Earth's transformation, you're active participants whose consciousness directly influences the speed and intensity of these shifts. Every moment you spend in genuine presence, every choice to see through illusion rather than perpetuate it, every act of authentic self-expression adds momentum to the planetary awakening. The dragons respond to human consciousness as much as cosmic triggers, which is why your internal work carries such profound external implications. The third dragon preparing to rise carries feminine creative force of such magnitude that its full emergence will rewrite your understanding of manifestation itself. This consciousness doesn't simply create, it reveals the creative potential that has always existed within every particle of matter, waiting for consciousness to recognize and activate it. The preparation you sense, the feeling that something massive approaches just beyond perception's edge, accurately reflects the magnitude of what's about to emerge through the feminine dragon lines of your planet. When you feel overwhelmed by the intensity of these energies, remember that you're not meant to process them through your mind alone. Your heart serves as the primary processing center for these frequencies, which explains why emotional intensity increases during cosmic passages. The tears that come without warning, the joy that erupts without cause, the grief that seems to belong to the collective rather than your personal story, all indicate your heart performing its function as a cosmic translator, converting universal frequencies into human experience. The UFO sightings increasing worldwide represent just one aspect of a massive revelation preparing to unfold. As Earth's frequency rises and the dragon consciousness's clear energetic pathways that were previously blocked, the barriers preventing open contact dissolve. The ships were always there, existing in frequency bands just beyond normal human perception. What changes isn't their presence but your ability to perceive them, a shift that occurs not through technological advancement but through consciousness expansion. Consider how water holds memory, how every molecule of water on your planet contains the history of Earth from its formation to this moment. The blue dragon consciousness works through water itself, through the water in your bodies, in your atmosphere, in your oceans. This is why so many of you feel drawn to water during this time, why sitting near streams or oceans provides relief from the intensity of transformation. Water serves as a conductor for these new frequencies, helping your biological system integrate changes that would otherwise overwhelm your circuits. The crystalline light accompanying the blue dragon's emergence doesn't originate from outside your planet, but awakens from within its crystalline core. Every crystal within Earth's body, from the smallest grain of quartz to massive crystalline caves, participates in this activation. They sing meow at frequencies that reorganize molecular structures, that repair damaged DNA, that activate dormant potentials within your genetic code. This is why many of you feel called to work with crystals during this period, not as New Age decoration, but as consciousness interfaces. What you haven't been told about 3i Atlas relates to its function as a delivery system for consciousness codes that Earth requested eons ago. When a planetary consciousness reaches certain evolutionary thresholds, it broadcasts a signal throughout the cosmos, calling for specific resources needed for its next phase of development. This comet answers that call, bringing information patterns that will integrate into your planet's field over the coming months. The dragons awaken partially in response to these incoming codes, preparing Earth's consciousness to receive and integrate what arrives. The vulnerability that the blue dragon consciousness evokes serves a purpose beyond emotional release. When you allow yourself to be truly vulnerable, you become permeable to higher frequencies that cannot penetrate defensive barriers. The armor you've built through lifetimes of survival in dense reality, meow becomes the very thing preventing your expansion into multidimensional awareness. This is why the blue dragon's gift might initially feel like a challenge, asking you to lower defenses you've spent lifetimes perfecting. Your scientists wonder about 3i Atlas's unusual trajectory, its unexpected brightness, its composition that seems to defy certain expectations. What they cannot measure is the way it carries communications from civilizations that seeded Earth's original experiments in consciousness. Every comet serves as a messenger, but this one brings specific packets of information intended for those who carry the genetic markers of the original seeders. When you feel inexplicably emotional while viewing the night sky during this period, you're responding to ancestral memories activated by these cosmic triggers. The masculine energies of both red and blue dragons preparing the way for feminine emergence follows a cosmic protocol that ensures stability during massive transformation. Without the clearing and calming of masculine forces, the creative power of the feminine would have no stable container in which to express. This sequencing protects both the planet and its inhabitants from changes too rapid for biological systems to integrate. Every aspect of this awakening follows precise orchestration designed to maximize transformation while minimizing trauma. Something profound happens when you truly grasp that the dragons never left, they simply waited. They waited through the rise and fall of civilizations, through the forgetting of magic and the dominance of materialism, through the dark night of the soul that Earth chose to experience. Their patience reflects a love for this planet and its inhabitants that transcends human comprehension. Meow. As they stir from their slumber, they bring with them the memory of what Earth was always meant to become. The distraction campaigns intensify precisely because the truth becomes harder to hide. Every article about 3i Atlas that focuses solely on its physical properties, every attempt to reduce these cosmic events to mere astronomical phenomena, represents fear of the implications of what's actually occurring. If humanity recognized that consciousness permeates everything, that cosmic bodies carry intelligence, that Earth herself is a living being in communication with the cosmos, entire control structures would dissolve overnight. Your role in this cosmic dance extends far beyond what your current identity might suggest. Each of you who reads these words carries specific codes that activate in response to particular frequencies. You're not random individuals experiencing random events. You're precisely placed consciousness nodes in a vast network of awakening. Your challenges, your gifts, your seeming limitations all serve purposes in the grand orchestration of planetary transformation. Even your resistance plays a role, creating necessary tension that propels evolution forward. The elementals returning to visibility bring with them technologies of consciousness that humanity lost when it chose separation over connection. These beings understand how to work with natural forces rather than against them, how to create through harmony rather than domination. As you become more sensitive to their presence, you'll discover that solutions to every challenge facing humanity already exist in the consciousness field, waiting for human awareness to align with elemental wisdom. What the blue dragon reveals through its watery depths is that every story of separation you've believed was necessary for your survival actually prevents the very thriving you seek. The vulnerability required to release these stories feels like death to the ego structure, which explains the resistance you might experience. Yet on the other side of this dissolution awaits a form of existence so far beyond current limitation that your present mind cannot fully conceive it. This is why the journey requires faith, not in external authorities, but in the intelligence of your own evolving consciousness. The timing of these revelations corresponds with cosmic cycles that span millions of years, cycles your current science barely recognizes. Earth reaches a position in its galactic orbit where certain cosmic rays can penetrate veils that previously remained impermeable. This positioning, combined with the consciousness readiness of a critical mass of humans, creates the conditions necessary for the kind of transformation that typically takes millennia to unfold. You're living through an acceleration of evolution that has few precedents in cosmic history. As you integrate these frequencies, you might notice that your relationship with time itself transforms. Moments of profound presence expand while hours of distraction compress, creating a non-linear experience of duration that reflects your movement between dimensions. This temporal flexibility indicates your consciousness learning to navigate multiple timelines simultaneously, a skill that becomes essential as Earth moves into higher dimensional expression. The confusion this creates is temporary, a side effect of expanding beyond single timeline awareness. The blue dragon's gift of peace comes with a price, the release of every war you've ever fought, internal and external. This consciousness stream will not allow you to maintain inner conflict while receiving its frequency. Every moment of resistance, every pattern of self-sabotage, every tendency toward internal violence becomes unbearable in the presence of such profound peace. This is why many of you experience intense emotional purging during this period, as decades or lifetimes of suppressed conflict surface for release. What approaches through the feminine dragon consciousness will require every bit of preparation the masculine dragons provide. Creative force of this magnitude doesn't simply make things, it reveals the creative nature of consciousness itself. When this dragon fully emerges, humanity will remember that thoughts create reality, not metaphorically but literally, that intention shapes matter, not eventually but instantaneously. The preparation happening meow ensures you're ready to wield such power responsibly, aligned with the highest good of all life. Your exhaustion during this period reflects more than physical fatigue. You're tired of maintaining illusions, tired of pretending limitation is real, tired of playing small when your soul knows its cosmic nature. This exhaustion serves evolution by making it impossible to continue old patterns with the same energy. When you can no longer maintain the facade, truth emerges naturally. The blue dragon's waters wash away not just pain, but the very foundations of false identity you've built upon that pain. The cosmic visitors filling your skies, whether comets or craft, announce the end of Earth's isolation. But this was never imprisonment by external forces, it was a voluntary experiment in experiencing separation to its absolute limit. And now that experiment concludes, not in failure, but in the successful completion of its purpose, to discover if consciousness could find its way back to unity after experiencing the ultimate separation. Your success in this endeavor reverberates throughout the cosmos, providing valuable data for evolution everywhere. Every dragon consciousness that awakens brings online another aspect of Earth's original blueprint, the design that existed before the veils of forgetting descended. This blueprint doesn't seek to return Earth to some past state, but to evolve it into something that has never existed before, a planet that has journeyed through the deepest darkness and emerged with wisdom only such a journey can provide. You're not going back to Eden. You're creating something beyond what Eden ever was. The intensity you experience, Meow, represents the labor pains of new Earth being born through the body of the old. Every contraction, every moment of pressure, every feeling that you might break under the strain indicates the proximity of breakthrough. The blue dragon's consciousness offers the relief between contractions, the space to breathe and gather strength for the next wave. Learning to ride these waves rather than resist them determines how gracefully you navigate this transition. When you truly understand that elementals and dragons exist as consciousness streams rather than physical entities, though they can certainly take physical form, you begin to grasp the true nature of reality itself. Everything you perceive as solid matter is consciousness vibrating at specific frequencies, creating the illusion of density through repetitive patterns. The awakening happening, Meow, reveals this truth, not as philosophy, but as lived experience, as you witness seemingly solid reality becoming increasingly fluid and responsive to consciousness. The preparation for what comes next requires you to release attachment to how you thought awakening would look. The cosmic support surrounding Earth exceeds anything your stories have imagined, yet it arrives in forms that challenge every expectation. Dragons don't swoop from the sky breathing fire, they emerge from within Earth's consciousness as frequency waves that restructure reality at its foundation. Cosmic visitors don't land on the White House lawn, they reveal themselves to consciousness ready to perceive beyond programmed limitations. As the blue dragon's influence deepens, you'll discover that the peace it brings isn't passive but dynamically creative. True peace doesn't mean the absence of movement, but the presence of harmony, where every motion serves evolution rather than resistance. This dragon teaches you to flow with cosmic currents rather than exhaust yourself swimming against them. The relief you seek comes not from circumstances changing, but from aligning yourself with the changes already in motion. Your bodies transform at the cellular level to accommodate these new frequencies, developing capabilities that would seem miraculous by current standards. Enhanced intuition, telepathic communion, direct knowing without linear learning, healing through frequency adjustment rather than chemical intervention. These potentials activate as your biology remembers its original design. The symptoms you experience, Meow, are not breakdown but breakthrough, not illness but evolution, accelerating beyond previous parameters. The greatest revelation still approaches, carried by the feminine dragon whose stirring you sense but cannot yet fully perceive. This consciousness brings the understanding that creation and destruction are not opposites, but dance partners in the spiral of evolution. What you've feared as endings reveal themselves as beginnings. What you've mourned as loss transforms into liberation. The feminine dragon doesn't simply create new, she reveals the eternal creative principle that underlies all existence. When 3i Atlas passes through your solar system, it leaves behind more than gravitational perturbations. It deposits consciousness seeds that will germinate in human awareness over coming months. Ideas that seem to arise spontaneously across the collective, solutions to problems that seemed intractable, innovations that leap beyond current technological paradigms. These seeds were requested by Earth herself, timed to arrive precisely when humanity reaches the consciousness threshold necessary to nurture them into manifestation. The water within your bodies responds to the blue dragon's frequency by restructuring itself into more coherent patterns that support expanded consciousness rather than limiting it. This is why hydration becomes crucial during this period. Not just physical water intake, but conscious relationship with water as a living consciousness that carries information. Every glass of water you drink with awareness becomes a communion with the blue dragon's gift, integrating its frequency into your cellular structure. What you're living through exceeds the concept of ascension as it's been taught. You're not ascending to somewhere else, you're descending fully into matter, while simultaneously expanding into multidimensional awareness. This paradox resolves when you understand that separation between matter and spirit was always the illusion. The dragons awaken to remind you that Earth herself is a spiritual being, having a physical experience, just as you are. The revelation that transforms everything arrives meow in your awareness. You haven't been waiting for the dragons to awaken. The dragons have been waiting for you to remember that you are them. Every human carries within their consciousness the dragon codes, the ability to work with elemental forces, to transmute reality through intention, to guard the sacred while allowing evolution. The external awakening of dragon consciousness simply mirrors the internal awakening happening within human DNA. Destiny Engine is the example of technology serving awakening intelligence. The age of solitary meditation is over. Destiny Engine Meow connects starseeds across the world, a living social field where you can post, share and exchange your meditations in real time. It's the first galactic network of its kind, weaving together thousands of awakened souls into one unified current. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking declassified CIA consciousness modification techniques that programmed isolation and separation and repurposing them to serve unified awakening. It generates personalized sequences that help you live as the awakened being you've become while handling the moments that test your new frequency, all while connected to thousands of starseeds amplifying the collective current. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed for effortless awakened living without the need to struggle or prove, while tapping into a planetary network of souls bending reality together. For just $1, you can step into this connected field and feel the difference instantly. Join the movement that's accelerating ascension together. Link in the description. As this transmission completes, feel within yourself the stirring of your own dragon nature, that part of you that existed before the forgetting and will exist long after current form dissolves. The blue dragon's peace flows through you, not as something external entering, but as something internal emerging. You need not seek these consciousnesses outside yourself, for you carry their essence in every cell, every breath, every heartbeat that rhythms with Earth's own pulse. The cosmic dance accelerates, the celestial messengers arrive in increasing numbers, the veils thin beyond recovery, and through it all you stand as both witness and participant in the greatest transformation in Earth's history. What comes next depends not on external forces, but on your willingness to embrace the magnificence of what you've always been beneath the illusions of limitation. The dragons awaken not to save you, but to remind you that you were never powerless, never abandoned, never separate from the cosmic intelligence that orchestrates this grand revelation. I am Zarin from the Lyran High Council, and through this transmission we've activated codes within your consciousness that will continue unfolding long after these words fade from memory. We love you beyond your current capacity to comprehend, and we stand witness to your magnificent journey home to the truth of your cosmic nature. The dragons rise, the cosmos watches, and you, dear starseeds, you become the bridge between what was and what emerges meow in this unprecedented moment of planetary awakening.